Hey guys, welcome to the Service Hub, where we talk about tips and tricks for your service business success. Today we have your co-host / guest for the day, Parker Williams. He's the owner of Wasatch Bike Pros, which is a mobile bike shop. It's okay if you've never heard of that before. I never had until I met Parker. So say what's up, Parker.
What's up, guys? Stoked to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's just jump in a little bit. So from what I understand, you have a bicycle shop. However, it's all on wheels, at your service, at your door. Tell us a little bit about how that showed up, and I don't know, just give us your backstory on the mobile bike shop.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was managing a store up in Idaho about 6 years ago, and out the window I saw this lady pull up in her van, and she had to pull out her and her kids' cars, her and her kids' bikes out of the car. And I remember just thinking, like, dude, poor lady, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you bringing all the bikes? Like, why are you stuffing them all in the car? Like, it was quite the sight. So I hurried and ran out and helped her bring the bikes, and that's when I kind of realized, like, it's a pain to bring your bikes to the store and drop them off, and not only that, but I also, like, a couple other shops I've worked at too, we would have customers come, and in the middle of the summer we'd get super backed up. We'd be out like 2 weeks, and so our enthusiasts, or the ones that are like really into biking, would have to leave their bikes there for like a week, 2 weeks, and that you could always tell they were just like, I don't want to leave it here for 2 weeks. Is there any way I can schedule it, or like drop it off the day before? And we would accommodate, but you could tell that was a pain point for people to bring the bike to the shop and drop it off. And so that's where the mobile bike shop kind of came into place. And I saw somebody else doing it, so I don't want to claim like,
like you're the brainchild of.
Yeah, I'm not like the brainchild of the mobile bike shop. Like, it was definitely being done before, but I ran with it and started a shop in Arizona about 4 years ago, and yeah, I've been doing that ever since. So.
And no, that's pretty awesome. Like, seeing that need, and then kind of adopting it into a new niche or channel, giving those people the service. I mean, I would love that, people to show up and fix my bike at home, because I mean, I want my bike done that same day to be able to go ride. So that's pretty awesome. I guess who have you found to be like your like primary customer, or like, is there a certain type of person that's attracted to your business?
Yeah, we've got 3 customers that we kind of focus on, like your recreation riders, which is like your family, your mom who has 3 kids, or even 5 kids or whatever. They just got a bunch of bikes. They ride them to school, or ride them with their friends, or ride around the neighborhood. Like, they're an awesome customer. They love the convenience, and so they're one. And then the other customer is, like, we call them the enthusiast, the person that rides 3 or 4 times a week, or even less, and just really wants to, like, they love to ride their bike and don't want to be away from it. So those are kind of the 2. And then we get some off the wall, like, customers that are like I've got some customers up in Park City, Utah, that are visitors, and they like, oh wow, they come from out of state, and they'll have like 5 or 6 bikes at their
cabin or something,
or their condo, and we service them for them every year. Like, they come out and ride them throughout the season, and we'll make sure that they're maintained and running good for them. So
right.
But yeah, the 2 main ones are like recreation families, and then the enthusiast who loves to ride.
Okay, man. So it's super interesting to me thinking about the concept of, the mobile bike shop, because I mean, I personally didn't hear about that until we started talking about your bike shop.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around with you for a while, and I heard about it in the very beginning, but at that time it's completely new. And I would imagine that might be one of the challenges. I mean, there's a lot of challenges I could see in that, because it's a little bit unknown, how do we fix bikes on the run, or how do we introduce this concept, or whatever that looks like. I guess, what did you find to be your biggest challenge? And because obviously you've grown, you've had some great success. So I guess, tell us, first of all, what was like the biggest challenge from where you were to where you're at now? Like, what are some of the biggest things that you overcame?
Totally. So in the early days, like the biggest challenge was getting customers, because at the bike shop, you're a brick and mortar store. People drive by, they see your sign, like they search for you. And at the time, Google and like all the online listing companies wouldn't allow you to list a company unless you had a physical location. So that was frustrating too, because I'd have to like list my house as a location. I didn't really want to do that. And so I had to kind of figure out how to market my business without like being a brick and mortar store and having a key location to help market my business. And so yeah, finding customers was really hard in the early days. And the thing that really helped me the most, honestly, was I created somewhat of like a funnel, is kind of the term. I identified a market that I knew where they would be, and that was mountain bikers, and that was kind of like the enthusiast. I knew where they would be. I knew they would be at the trailhead. So I would go to the trailhead and I would set up, and I'd pull out this sign, like a, what do you call those, trifold signs or whatever, that I could write on with an erasable marker, and I'd write free bike checkup or like free suspension checkup. And that would attract a lot of people. The thing that attracted the most people were like free suspension checkups, because it was different and kind of sexy.
Right.
And people were like, well, I've never had my suspension checked out. So
right.
I'd have people come over and be like, so what are you doing? And it would just spark the conversation. And then I'd throw their bike in the stand, or we'd set up their suspension. They'd go on a ride. They'd come back and be like, that's the best my bike's ever felt. Give me your card. Or,
oh, that's awesome.
You know, I'd love to schedule an appointment with you. And so I grew really quick because of doing that. And then, of course, like customer referrals. So that was probably the thing that helped me grow the best at that time. I've learned things since that work even better, that it's kind of like a lever I can pull now that markets my business for me. But yeah, that's how I overcame that challenge. So.
Well, I love that idea, and it's like super simple, really scrappy, and you know, I just imagine you like out there like in a dirt parking lot with a sign that says free suspension checkups. And
yeah, I mean, it wasn't glory. It wasn't like the best every single time. Like sometimes I'd show up to the parking lot and I'd sit there for like 3 or 4 hours and not a single person would show up.
By, yeah.
So, you know, like my best days were the weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then, you know, holidays were really good, but like it was a hit or miss on the weekdays. But I would always just go there if I didn't have any appointments. I'd just drive there because I was like, I have a chance of seeing the people that I know I can service. So
right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, that's awesome. And so you kind of hinted towards something else also that you said is kind of helping to, like a lever that you're pulling now that's helping your business to grow now.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I back to like the biggest challenge, which was finding customers, right? Or marketing my business. Like I went down that rabbit hole early on. I've probably spent the last 5 years, well, a little over than 5 years actually studying marketing now.
Okay.
And I didn't really have anyone to model after, because mobile bike shops weren't really big, and they still really aren't.
No.
Like they're still not like a thing. They're becoming more popular. But so I sought after inspiration from other markets or other industries, like online businesses. Technology was really interesting to me, like software. And so I studied these businesses and how they marketed their business. And I learned that they all had a funnel, is what it's called, or some sort of other terms are like a customer value optimization process. Basically, it's a way to bait somebody to come into your brand or introduce them to your brand. And then you'd have like a tripwire, which is like a kind of a low barrier sell, a low barrier item that you'd sell online. And then we would upsell them to like a tune-up typically. And so I was able to take that and put that online and start marketing like we had an article that was like the 5 best trails in Utah that we'd push traffic to, and people would opt in and give us their email.
Oh.
And then on the thank you page, we'd invite them to purchase something cheap, like a free, or not a free, but like a $7 no flat repair or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So low barrier entry, and then we'd show up at their house and upsell to like a tune-up, or they'd have 3 or 4 other bikes that we'd check up and then turn into more sales. So that was another way for us to, pull a lever and start getting traffic to our site and start getting customers. So
yeah, so for the other service business owners out there that want to mimic something like that, so like if you could put it like simply like in a formula, like you start with, you said some sort of bait. Like what would you define as like bait? Like what goes into bait? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's funny, in the early days, I was married, and my wife we actually, like, right when we started, we found out that she was pregnant unexpectedly. So it was kind of like, freak, all this pressure, and she was working, luckily, but I was limited on time. Like,
right.
I had 9 months to grow a business, and I wasn't able to grow it enough to, like, I grew it enough to provide for our family, but it was still, with the bike shop, we have seasons. So in the off season, I didn't have any income. And so I was actually working for an HVAC company down in Arizona, and it was a small business. I was just like a helper.
Yeah.
I got paid like $15 an hour. It was flexible, so I could schedule my appointments around it and stuff. Anyways, I was learning this stuff for my business, and this friend of mine that I was working for, he was also growing his business, but he was probably 2 years ahead of me.
Okay.
Yet he was wanting help with doing this for his HVAC business. And so I actually gave him some, like, we bounced ideas off of each other, and he started doing something similar. Like, he was giving away free filters.
Oh, okay.
Like air filters for their, for your house, right? For life. So
right.
like every 2 months, or every 2 times a year, he would go and deliver filters to people.
Yeah.
And then upsell like a tune-up.
Right.
And at some point, he actually switched over and started doing drop shipping. So like he's got filters drop shipped to people, so they sign up online and they drop ship the
That's pretty creative.
to their house. So that's just an easy way to like introduce people to your brand. And that's not like, there's so many other ways you could do it, right? There's so many other ways you could splinter your core offer or what you're currently selling and take and create a free item, or maybe something that's like really cheap for people to be introduced to your brand. So
yeah, it basically just like, it's just like a kind gesture, something like an introduction, scratch their back a little and say, hey, welcome to my brand, build some rapport. Sounds like a trust builder.
Yeah.
Just something. And I like how you took that same concept, because I'm recognizing you had that concept there in the parking lot with your sign and said, hey, I'll check your suspension for free. And then you took that online by offering them, a free piece of content, an article, something to drive traffic to a lower barrier to entry purchase as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like relationships, right? Like when I met my wife, we met at a hole-in-the-wall Mexican restaurant. It's called Gualberto's. It's in Draper, Utah. And we met because one of my friends walked in with her, and I didn't ask her out on a date right there and then. Right. I didn't ask her to marry me right there and then either. But what I did do is we just talked, we chatted, we got to know each other. And then
so you like carne asada?
Yeah,
I love carne asada.
Yeah, exactly. No, but seriously, like it's the same way in like that principle applies to business. You can't just go for the big sell, or even the middle size sell right off the get-go to people. And that's what most businesses do. I feel like that's where most businesses, especially service businesses, fail, because they're selling their core, they live and die selling their core offer. They never splinter it down and sell something that is low barrier of entry for somebody to be introduced to their brand and their business.
Right. They're going for the big sale.
Yeah.
The big equipment install, the big
either the install or even the tune-up.
Yeah, everything.
Or the checkup, or even the
new bike.
Like I have a friend who's in the financial services industry, and he was marketing a 30-minute consultation, and I'm like, dude, you're asking somebody to give you 30 minutes that doesn't know you. Like, walk down the street and ask somebody to give you 30 minutes. See how hard that is. They'll tell you no all day.
Right.
So the same thing applies to really any business. You have to take that 30 minutes and say, hey, how could I ask somebody for 5 minutes, and how could I prove value in 5 minutes and give them something that's valuable to them, and even a minute.
Right.
So, yeah,
wow.
It's powerful. I feel like that's something that definitely changed my business for sure.
No, that's awesome. So obviously you started with like nothing going on. So where is your business now? What's happening?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing right now that I'm really excited about is our membership program. So,
okay.
So I ran my bike shop in Arizona for close to a year and a half. Went through some life changes. Didn't want to live in Arizona anymore. Moved back to my home state, Utah. I started consulting and working for a friend who was teaching dental practices how to create a membership program. And I, at the same time, I was running my bike shop. And that first season, I ran it like I did in Arizona. I sold tune-ups and went to the trailhead and gave away free services. Like, I did the same thing. But while consulting for him in the off season, I realized, holy crap, this membership model could be applied to my business. And so I was kind of leery at first, or like suspicious. I didn't think it was going to work.
Right.
And to be quite honest, I made some mistakes too. Like I sold, the first 5 people that I sold an unlimited membership. So it was $500 a year, and I did unlimited tune-ups. Yeah. And it was a huge mistake. Like,
what's that?
It's kind of like, the, I'm thinking of an experience of when I managed a property for somebody in exchange for rent. Oh. Like, the terms are not very clear. Right? So it was, here's unlimited tune-ups. And then all of a sudden I'd show up and it would be more than a tune-up, and it would be hard to like charge the customer because they'd already paid me $400 per bike. So it just wasn't clear.
It's like free Slurpee day at 7-Eleven where they fill up like a kiddie pool or something.
Yeah. So like, it was frustrating because I was all excited about it, and then it worked, but it didn't work. Right. And so I had to go through some fine tuning, and I finally figured out a membership that works really well. We sell a 1 tune-up a year membership. They get, it's actually a complete tune, so it's not even our base tune. They get all of this value for $67 plus a 25% discount on services for additional services. So, and it's per bike. So if I had 5 bikes that I rode a lot that I'd need tune-ups every year on,
buy 5 memberships.
I'd buy 5 memberships.
Okay.
And anytime they needed additional services that year, they'd get a discount. And I took this time to also raise my prices. So anyone that didn't want to opt in for the membership, they were actually paying a higher price. Oh, okay. But it also gave us an advantage to sell too. So we'll show up and we'll quote the bike and tell the people, hey, it's going to be $97 for this tune-up, or you can sign up for a membership. It's $67. And you get a 25% discount on additional services too throughout the year. So if something goes wrong in 3 months, like you'll get a tune-up, or if you need a tune-up, you'll get a 25% discount. And then we also do like 15% off parts and accessories and like apparel and stuff like that. So okay, we've sold from last year to this year. Last year we sold 50, and we've added 20 additional memberships this year. Oh, okay. So within 2 weeks, like this last 2 weeks, we've added over 20 memberships. We almost have $2,000 in recurring revenue, which is awesome. Like, yeah. So you've got 20 new guaranteed customers for next year. Yeah. And you already know that they're going to pay you $2,000 at this point. Yep. So it's super. As a business owner, it's really relieving to know that I have recurring revenue. Yeah. I can kind of measure my demand next year, and it helps me hire people too. So it helps me, like, the biggest thing for me is if my current technician decides to quit, next year I can go find another technician and guarantee him work.
Right, because you know you got at least right now 20. And I mean, the summer's just began.
Exactly.
You've acquired 20 over the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Yeah.
So for someone who maybe hasn't heard of the membership program and understand it, so like on its face, you hear it and you're like, okay, sounds like you're giving away your revenue. Like, what's going on? All of a sudden, you're at their house. You could have charged them $97. Now you're charging them less. And obviously, there's principles behind why you're not actually giving away your business. But maybe help the listeners understand, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, man, it was kind of hard at first to do that. I thought, yeah, I'm discounting my prices, but at the same time, I actually raised my prices.
Right,
so
you raised it first.
I'm providing a little more value than I was in the tune-up that I'm selling. So we've added some stuff to it that we weren't including in that.
Okay.
But it's actually the same price that I was selling previously at $67.
So you just raised your price and then discounted it for the membership program.
Exactly.
And the perceived value for your customers just goes up.
It just goes up, exactly. So it's an irresistible offer, and I've been on the phone with customers. I've done a couple of appointments with my tech, and it's amazing to see that people say, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer. Of course I'll sign up.
Of course I'm doing that.
And then when it comes to upselling them another service, it's a no-brainer because they're getting a discount. Everybody wants a discount nowadays.
Right.
That's the problem with our economy, is everybody wants to be treated like, like brothers and sisters and friends in business. And want a discount. And so we just took that same concept and said, hey, we'll give everybody a discount.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that way, they're not going to anybody else.
Correct.
They're your guy.
They're locked in. I mean, it's hard to beat the convenience
of a
mobile service.
Definitely.
They get a discount. And I mean, we're providing tons of value in that one tune-up.
Yeah.
And then for life. So we have gotten some objections.
Yeah.
Like people were like, well, what if I don't use my tune-up next year? Or like, what if I don't need the tune-up next year? And we just tell them, we'll refund you. Just give us a call. And you also get a 30-day renewal notice.
Oh, okay.
So like 30 days before their membership renews, they get an email or a text message that says, hey, your membership's renewing.
Okay.
And they can opt out, or they can call us and say, hey, I'm not going to need this year. I've moved or something.
Right.
Or if they just leave it and say, hey, I'll probably use this at some other time, but don't, we just tell them, give us a call and we'll refund your money.
Right.
Like, that's not a problem. Or we'll credit it towards your account and you can use that money to buy something or something like that. So, yeah, that completely dissolves that objection. And I think that was my biggest objection, is like, well, I don't think my customers will like being locked in. And that's not the case. Everybody's locked in nowadays. Like,
right. From Netflix
not really even
to
locked
Spotify.
in. Yeah, Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, like even...
My girlfriend's brother orders like dog treats online and they show up every month.
Yeah, there's all these weird like $1 shave club now. Right?
Yeah.
And at first, I thought those things were weird, but like... they're not, because there's convenience of not having to go to the store. So we subscribe to Diapers. We get diapers shipped to our house every month.
Adult size?
Yeah. For our 2 kids. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it's crazy. It learns when they need the next size.
Really?
Yeah. And you can send the other packaging back, or like if you get diapers that aren't the right size for your kid, you send them back and they refund you for that package or send you a different package.
Wow.
Like, so yeah, we live in a subscription economy now.
Right.
People, you're going to have the few that are going to gripe at it. They'll just pay the higher price.
Right.
Who freaking cares? Like, but the majority of our customers are saying yes to our membership.
Yeah. And that's phenomenal, because, reoccurring revenue, like systematic recurring revenue, something you really count on in your industry, isn't really something that's existed before, or in the service industry in a lot of aspects. It's a one-time service. They jump on Google. They could call any of the first 10 people who show up on the list, and they probably don't care who they called. They just look at maybe reviews, but now they have you as their guy. What's interesting about this as well is, so you, in conjunction with this, and we've only got about 5 minutes left, but I'd love to talk about your other project going on that helps power your membership program.
Totally.
So the name of it is
Curry.
Okay, this is your software program.
Yeah. So I mean, let's just back up a little bit here, right? When I moved to Utah, I started consulting for a friend. I realized that membership programs could be applied to any service business, and that there were solutions out there, but they were very applicable to online business, like membership websites or software, or just like these subscription box companies, and it wasn't really tailored to the service industry. It may not seem like it, but there are little things that are really important to my business that I realized I needed. And so I partnered with my brother-in-law, Zach Johnson. He's a developer, and he and I started working on this concept to make it work for my bike shop, and all along knowing that we have the possibility to sell to other service businesses and set this up as a software product for people like me that need membership programs and be able to sell them online easily and manage the members and manage the billing and the renewals and all that stuff. So
okay, yeah. So in a nutshell, sounds like Curry helps you like create your membership plans, sell them online, manage all those customers. So are you using, so Curry's brand new, it's a brand new product. Are you actually using it in the back end of Wasatch Bike Pros?
I am, yeah. So we're definitely new, like it's beta. We've been testing for probably a month now. We've got some beta users that are using it as well. And we're kind of getting things figured out, but yeah, I'm using it for my own business, and it's awesome. Like, it's really sweet. I'm stoked.
That's awesome. So if people who are listening want to learn more about either your bike shop or Curry, because they want to implement their own membership program, is there a way, either maybe they can get a hold of you or maybe they can check out Curry? Like, give us some resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach, and like, you can get a hold of Curry at curry.io. That's not curry.com. It's curry.io, and that's spelt with a K. So KURRY. .io.
Okay.
And my personal email is parker@curry.io, or you can message my bike shop. You can check us out. It's Wasatch Bike Pros, WASATCH, bikepros.com. And then same email, parker@wasatchbikepros.com. So yeah, shoot me a message. Ask me anything. You can find me on social media too.
Okay, awesome. And if you guys want to get a hold of myself, you can also shoot me an email. It's just my first name, middle initial, and last name, Trevor D. Hansen @gmail. We're giving out the personal information today for you guys. So
I don't even care, man.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I've actually learned if you give it out, like, you really don't get that much from people, but it's powerful to give out your personal information. I feel like and that sounds funny, but like, as a business owner, I'd love for somebody to say, hey, here's the business owner's contact information. If you have any issues, contact him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it makes it way more personal. Huh? Yeah. Interesting. So, all right, Parker. Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat today. Yeah. We had a blast, and thank you guys for listening. And we'll bring you some more stuff soon.
Sweet.
All right. Have a great day, guys. See ya.